you like playing cornhole or beanbag toss, but the rain forces your party inside, or it's just the middle of winter, these mini cornhole boards will come in handy so you can keep the game going. I also made a cheaper and easier version using plywood, and there's a link at the top of the screen that you can check out if you'd like to make these instead. I've also included a link in the description with all the tools and materials I used. I started out by cutting down some maple and walnut to about 12 inches long, which is around 1/4 the size of a normal beanbag toss board. Next, I went over to the table saw and ripped them down to 2-inch strips. Each board will have 3 strips, making it 6 inches wide. A regulation cornhole board is 24 inches by 48 inches. After spending a few minutes deciding how to arrange the strips and which edges would make for the tightest glue up without any additional work, I glued them up just like you would a cutting board. The maple and walnut is definitely overkill for this project, but I had some left over which happened to be the right size, and I didn't think I would ever use it for anything. The glue up was done with Titebond 2, since it's the only wood glue that I buy, but since these aren't going to get wet, you could really use any type of wood glue. Or you can use Titebond 2 and use these as a cutting board if you stop using them for beanbag toss, as long as you use a food safe finish. I can't remember why, but I ended up gluing up both boards individually. After taking the clamps off the first board, I clamped up and glued the second board. While the glue on the second board was drying, I sanded down the first board to 220 grit. I did a decent job on the clamping, so I didn't have any ridges to sand down or plane. When sanding was complete, I cleaned up the sides back over on my table saw. I recently coated the table saw surface with some finishing paste wax, and it really helps the wood slide easier, especially when making cross cuts. For making the holes, I used a 2-inch Forstner bit. A regulation cornhole board has 6-inch diameter holes, so to maintain scale, I should have used a 1.5-inch Forstner bit. However, making beanbags so small would have been difficult, so I went with a 2-inch hole. After drilling, I added a 1.5-inch strip across the back of each board so it sits up at the proper angle. Then I finished them with 2 coats of Danish oil. For the beanbags, I cut up some old t-shirts into 2-inch squares and used some iron-on no-sew to make each beanbag. As you'll see, this did not hold together very well, so you may just want to hand stitch them if you try making them. There's also a link in the description where you can buy mini beanbags, but they're fairly expensive. Now, your beanbag toss tournament at your next cookout or party won't be stopped by the rain.